Everybody rise, please. We'll do the pledge and then read. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll take a short moment of silence, wherever what you feel you need to do during that time. And all three commissioners are here this morning. Says public comment. Ladies first, Joe.
I'll try to be brief. I actually have some documents. Can I hand you guys?
Yes, if you give them to our executive secretary there, we'd appreciate that.
And Mr. Grant Ferris.
Thank you. And everybody notices it says comments. That doesn't mean we comment back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to make you guys aware of something that is a great concern to my husband and I, and also I think it impacts all of the citizens of Leavenworth County. And that is in your code, in regulations, the definition of kennel. The definition of kennel in your regulation is any place that has 4 dogs or more 6 months age or older, which are kept, boarded, bred, and or sold. I thought there was 2 ways to interpret that. You had 4 dogs 6 months of age which kept, boarded, bred, and you sold them. Or you just had 4 dogs that you sold, so you were in a business. It was a commerce operation. Well, we found out about 5 months ago that the code office had a different interpretation of that. Their interpretation was you just had 4 dogs. It didn't matter if you were in commerce. To that end, we tried to set up meetings with the code enforcement office, which they ignored, so we never met with them. When we received the first letter from the code enforcement office, I honestly thought, you know, this is going to be a simple thing to resolve because we're not a kennel. I can prove we're not a kennel. All of our dogs that we have are spayed or neutered. So we're obviously not in the business of dogs. My husband and I moved here 3.5 years ago from Johnson County, and one of the reasons that we relocated to Leavenworth County is that they didn't have a number of dogs that you could own. We actually own 6 dogs. So we have 2.5 acres, an acre, and about 1/4 of that is fenced for our dogs. We live in a rural area. So this not only affects us, it affects anybody in the county that has more than 4 dogs, whether it's for hunting, farming, whatever. I'd like to say that in the regulations there is a comparison from stables, private stables, riding. A stable private, you can have as many horses as you want. There's no requirement for a special use permit. But on a stable riding, it's a commercial enterprise where you're receiving enumeration for a service, either boarding or another activity. So I see that as a comparison to the kennel regulation, because the way we interpreted it, it was a commercial type of enterprise for having dogs. If you, let's see, I talked to the Department of Agriculture guy that is in charge of the kennel licensing, and there's actually a letter in there from him saying that we're not a kennel, we would never be considered a facility, we don't have a commercial enterprise, they would never issue us a kennel license because we're not a kennel. We're just a residence that has more than 4 dogs. In the state of Kansas, if it's not explicitly stated in the county or city that you're living in regulations, you can have up to 19 dogs without a kennel license. So we're well below that. I'd also like to say that in doing this research, because once more, I thought this would be a simple thing that we could resolve without going to court, but we have received a notice that we're in violation of the kennel regulations, that we're operating a kennel without a special use permit. If you look at the special use permit, it's all about having a business. You know, what's your business name? What are your facilities like? How many parking spaces do you have? You know, and we're just a residence that has dogs. I believe that the county's regulations in regards to kennels is ambiguous and implicit, in that it doesn't specifically state that if you're just a household that has dogs, that you're considered a kennel. In contrast to, if you will go out, and I did include that in my paperwork, the city of Leavenworth. It is an example of their regulations, which were just redone, that specifically states, okay, if you're a resident and you have this many dogs, this is all the things that you're required to do. If you're a kennel that operates for commerce, then these are all the things that you have to do. And those things are implicitly absent in the regulations that we have here in Leavenworth County. So what I'm requesting you to do, and I've provided this information, is one, I would hope that you would research this, look at the legislative history of why the kennel regulations are written, why they were in 2006. I will say, in doing my research, that language that you have used is specifically in 2006 what the Kansas Department of Agriculture had in the state statute, but it has since been revised to clarify that it is a commercial enterprise and not regulating the number of pets. And I totally respect the county's ability to limit how many dogs that you have, but that is not present right now. And if that's what you intend to do through this, to me, the regulation needs to be rewritten to be explicit, to, you know, to say that this not only applies to commercial enterprises, but to residences. And like I said, that I know personally in our place that we live, 4 other homeowners that have more than 4 dogs. I know numerous farmers that have more than 4 dogs used for hunting and herding activities. Our dog officer in the city of Tonganoxie actually had more than 4 dogs. So this just isn't a concern to me. This is really a change that the Code Enforcement Office is trying to make to apply to every citizen in Leavenworth County. And to me, I think it is without merit, it is implicit, it is ambiguous, and it just simply is not right. So I'm here to ask the county to have Mr. Van Perry's, you know, do the research, look at the legislative history, and then determine, you know, whether this regulation will stand as written or whether it needs to be revised. I personally think it needs to be revised. And I'm also asking you, our court date is January 31st. We're willing to get an attorney and go to court and fight this on the fact that the regulation is ambiguous. But what I would hope is that some common sense would prevail and people would look at this and say, okay, it is ambiguous, it is implicit. Regulations have to be explicit so that everyone that reads it can understand this applies to me. When we read this, when we moved to Leavenworth County, we did not believe it applied to us because we were not what we believed a commercial enterprise. And so that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Mark, if you'll write that down, you and David, then when time comes, look it over and try to do it before the 31st. So, yes, David.
Mr. Cleveland, Ms. Cheryl did provide me contact information. I'll visit with our planning and zoning staff, contact the Cheryl's. We do have a court date for January 31st. I'll see what I can resolve before then and report back to you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, you don't mind, I'd like to ask a question. How do we know how many dogs people have? We don't register dogs in the county.
No, we do not.
So how do we know when somebody has 4 dogs or more?
We receive complaints from the neighbors.
Okay.
It's kind of like untidy, unkept
Okay.
homestead. We get
Okay.
it by complaints of the neighbors.
Okay.
Okay, so hopefully that will be taken care of before the 31st. Anybody else have any comments? Oh, good morning, Aaron.
Good morning, Commissioners. Joe Herring, Herring Surveying, 315 North 5th Street. It's concerning items on the second session of the agenda. 2 issues. One, I've asked this previously, I'll ask again prior to going into that work session. I'll ask for the rescinding of Resolution 2017-01 before we go into that work session. The other item is, in that work session, it was placed on the regular agenda. In that agenda packet, there are 2 resolutions. Are those items going to be considered for approval today, or is this just a standard work session where we get to voice our opinions, and then those resolutions will be amended if need be and brought back for approval at a later date?
That's a good question. Is it our intent to vote on that? We can allow them to voice an opinion, that's not.
Well, I think that's
Well,
the chairman's right.
Right, and Mr. Chairman, I was wanting to, under administrative business, I was wanting to address that to see if we could break that out into a work session instead of having it in the regular meeting.
It is supposed to be a work session. We're not going to be taking action on this.
Right.
We're not-
We
we're
shouldn't
not-
take
Staff
action
is
on
not
it. No.
requesting action. Obviously, the board has that right, but we're not requesting action today.
No.
It's a work session to go through.
That's what I was hoping we'd adjourn and then go to the work session.
Right.
But you're wanting it to be voted on today, Mr. Herring?
I'm wanting it to be discussed today,
Okay.
Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a comment?
Name's Glenn Berry, District 1. I wish the lady would have stayed here that was talking about the dog issue. I'm familiar with what she's talking about in the respect that the number of dogs in the county that a person should own. The problem becomes not that we got to register our dogs. You're absolutely right, Doug. There is no way for the county to know how many dogs I got unless they become a nuisance to one of my neighbors. And I think a lot of people move to the county from the city and they immediately think, oh, I'm out in the county, I can have as many dogs as I want. In my opinion, you most certainly can, until if you've moved into one of these sub-county neighborhoods is what I call them, because they're housing developments where you got 2.5 acre lots, things of that nature. And your neighbors listen to 6 dogs barking in your backyard all day or all evening. That could be a nuisance to them. And a lot of people want to move to the county because I can have my dogs and I don't have to have a fenced yard. They get to run the neighborhood. In my opinion, that's not a good thing. I've had livestock and I've had to explain that to neighbors before, that your bird dog up in my yard around my wife's chickens is going to become a problem for me. And I have to address that. So I understand people having pets, dog lover, animal lover altogether. My wife would kennel them all at our house if she could. That's why I don't own too much ground, because she'd bring them all home. But there becomes a decision you got to make when you're impacting your neighbors. And as a good neighbor, you have to work around some of your issues. If your neighbors are complaining about your dogs, and I'm sure that's what brought this lady's item to the forefront. She got a neighbor that don't like her barking dogs or the smell of them pooping in the yard, whatever it may be. That is an issue to your neighbors. You have to be a good neighbor and take care of your problems. I don't think it really is a major issue with most people, but there are some that don't like animals. They just don't like the fact that you got a fenced-in yard and think you ought to be able to house them, as many as you think you should have. I think the county comes up with a more pertinent number, is going to be what's the difference between 5 and 6 dogs. If you come up with a number, if I have 5 little bitty Yorkies versus I got 4 great big labs, there's a difference in those dogs, not just based on a number. Your neighbors, you got to make a courteous effort to satisfy your neighbors. Be a good neighbor. That's all I can tell you.
Thank you. Anybody else have a comment? We'll include that part of the agenda, and then we'll go on to administrative business. Mark, is there anything that you have?
The only thing really I have under administrative business is remind everybody that next week, Tuesday, is our evening meeting. We'll meet at 5:30 in the commission chambers.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Administrative?
Well, I've been doing some thinking about our just 1 day a week meeting, and I don't really feel real good about that. I think that if this county our size is supposed to have 2 meetings a week, I don't think we should find a loophole and not have 2 meetings a week, because I consider what we did was a loophole. I think it's going to be denying some access to us from the public. I really think we should have 2 meetings a week. That's my opinion. Just thought I'd throw it out there.
You're entitled to that opinion.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Did you want to discuss that, or just let it go?
Well, I think we've already,
I know we have.
we've already voted on that.
Correct.
And I think David's got,
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, good morning. David Van Paris. The commission adopted Charter Resolution 2018-1, which would have exempted you from a state statute that requires a county of this size to have 2 meetings per week. Your substitute language provides that you will have not less than 1 meeting per week, i.e. you could have 1 meeting, you could have 5 meetings, you could have as many meetings as you would like during the week. Commissioner Smith's, I think, proposal would take you back to the normal session or the normal application of county statutes, which would require you to have not less than 2 meetings per week. That is your prerogative, gentlemen. It's a policy issue. You have adopted the charter resolution. It was published over the weekend, I believe, so it'll be published again next weekend, and 60 days from that date will go into effect. Until that time, you can certainly discuss the matter and determine what you want. Even if the charter resolution goes into effect, it does not preclude you from having more than 1 meeting.
Okay. Well, I like it the way it is. That doesn't mean anything to me, I guess. In January, the 9th, or what it is, 2019, if that commission wants to go to 10 meetings a week, I think that's fine. I like it at 1 meeting. As I said, it opens up to other people to be able to run for the office. Doesn't always have to be somebody who's retired, and that's one way to open it up. And we're definitely getting all the business taken care of. So I appreciate that thought process. And I just soon leave it like it is. We voted on it, we've approved it, and I think once we start not getting everything accomplished, then we can go to 2 meetings on the same day, we can go to 4 meetings, 5 meetings. Budget time will be very interesting. So I just can leave it where it is.
Budget time is always interesting.
Yes, budget time is interesting.
sat through quite a few of them.
Yep. So that was good input. And you remember that in January next year.
Okay.
Let's see, we now have a consent agenda. Anybody have any thoughts on what they want to discuss and what they didn't approve of? Any of the commission, I have a couple when you're through. One is to, one of my thoughts is on the, it was a consensus of the board to add the Port Authority discussion to the agenda for January 23rd. That is not going to be there because of the city of Leavenworth can't make it, and we've changed that till the
30th.
The
30th.
We moved that to the 30th because of the inability to attend our evening meeting that conflicts with their evening.
Right, we have conflict, which is good, which is not good, but I mean, it's good that we're moving it back. Another thing that I had brought up to have a study session on the finances of Eisenhower project, and our administrator so kindly said that an appropriate time to have that would be to hold a session when the county would issue more debt. My intent was to get the point across of why I wanted to hold off and to wait till debt, that might be a year. I wanted all the cities to know, and the world to know, that it's time for us to go to a cash basis. And going to a cash basis is not going to throw Eisenhower Road off that far. So that was the reason I wanted to have this discussion early so the cities and everybody could say, I wonder why they want to go to a cash basis. It's just to me, the thing that we should do. I try to do that with my business and at home, so.
I have to.
Yeah. So that is the reason why I want to have a discussion, a short discussion. Doesn't need to be, occupy the whole day. But there are some things that the cities need to know. We're looking at 90-some million, possibly, not 40 million, 90-some million of income to the cities. Leavenworth's looking at possibly 50 million. They haven't even done anything with their money. Lansing hasn't. Tonganoxie that I know of, Baser, maybe they're going to operate on a cash basis. I don't know, which is maybe where we should have started in the first place. We borrowed 22.4 million, really to do the 3 road projects. That's a little bit short, and then we hand out 5 to the city of Leavenworth and 5 to the city of Tonganoxie. Well, that took 10 million, and that left 12.4 million. So there's no way to do the roads. So my thought is we do the 2 roads that we've obligated to. In the meantime, we'll be doing Eisenhower as a project to get the right-of-way, utilities moved, and who knows, on the 2020 or 2021, when the cash is there, we'll do Eisenhower Road. So I'd still like to get that on the agenda somewhere to discuss that. And Commissioner Smith brought up the Alliance Against Family Violence.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think both of us did. We both were concerned about.
Yeah, so.
The service being provided and the money that we've allocated for it.
We're going to pay them for no service.
Well,
I mean, I'm for.
I think there was an issue, the utilities were getting shut off of the building in Tonganoxie. The gas was, but don't know about the water, so that could have been a problem.
Well, if the gas is shut off, I'm sure they're going to shut off.
Well, I would hope that.
I would hope they would.
Well, do they own the building?
That I don't know.
So everyone who owns the building ought to make sure that the water's shut off before they shut the gas off. So, anything else? I will stand for a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as is.
As is, okay. Is there a second?
There is a second. I'll second that.
I thought of one thing here. I have a Leavenworth County Conservation District check for $13,750. Now, wasn't that what we discussed last week? That it's moving to Jefferson County or? is that
Right, but
something-
we're still gonna fund
We're
it.
still gonna fund
They
it.
still provide the service in
Yeah,
Leavenworth
right.
County.
Yeah.
We just won't, they won't be in Leavenworth County.
I wasn't objecting to it, I
Oh,
just.
okay.
Yeah.
Another thing is lease salt sand storage for Sherman Township for $1,000.
We do that every year. They allowed us to lease a space to put up a canvas storage.
Okay,
It was cheaper than purchasing property
very good.
down there,
Sounds good.
so.
Appreciate it. So we have a motion second. I'll accept votes.
Aye.
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 Very good. Okay, formal board action. Consider spraying, the contract for KDOT for spraying.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Couple items for you this morning. The first item is the contract with KDOT. Kansas Department of Transportation contracts with Leavenworth County, the Noxious Weed Department, to spray state-owned right-of-ways within Leavenworth County to control noxious weeds. This has been going on for, I don't know how long, but quite a few years. Contract's the same. The rates actually increased in 2017, I believe, so we're just left the rates alone for 2018. And we did about $2,500 worth of work last year, so this isn't a large amount of spraying that we do for the state.
Anybody have any questions?
Nope, we've done it
Been
for
doing it for years, and KDOT sprays like their guardrails and stuff. We just control the noxious weeds.
We actually,
And they do a
Do a
pretty good
job,
job
yeah.
of mowing anyways. They do
Right.
mechanical control of noxious
Yeah.
weeds.
My only question at the time was, when was the last time we reviewed 25 and 45?
2017, they increased.
So you answered
So we
that.
left them the same this year.
So I'll stand, somebody
I'll
have a
make a
motion?
motion to approve the KDOT funding and doing the contract.
I'll second it.
Okay, we've got a motion to second. How do you vote, Bob?
Aye.
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 Okay.
All right, the second item we have this morning is the agreement with the Kansas Department of Corrections to provide inmate labor to Leavenworth County. The county shop uses an inmate crew as a brush crew to help cut down trees, brush, clear right-of-ways, stuff like that, things like that. So this is the standard agreement that we sign with them.
Has
Yearly.
the rate of that agreement gone up?
Not that I'm aware of. I didn't even see where
Did they put a rate down there?
there's a rate in the agreement.
We usually pay the guard salary, I think is what the rate is, and provide a vehicle. The county has to provide a vehicle,
Yeah.
and the
And
fuel,
pay
and the
guard
gas,
salary.
yeah.
I thought did they have to pay the inmate a small stipend?
No, we don't. We just, the state might, but we don't. We just provide a vehicle, gas. I think we provide the guard with a cell phone also.
Don't we have one of our employees?
Yes. Yeah, that goes with them, yes. Because they got to we provide the brush chipper and the truck to haul off the chips, stuff like that.
They have to.
It's pretty standard, so.
Before we accept that, are you wanting those answered? There's a lot of I thinks in that thought.
Yeah. It's, I would kind of like them to be answered. I mean, kind of signing a blank contract.
Yeah, it hasn't burned us yet.
Yeah,
but
I know.
It would be just nice to know when somebody comes up and says, well.
Did they
what are we
pay
gonna-
the, and I just assumed they
maybe.
paid them a small stipend.
Yeah.
I've always heard that they paid them a small stipend.
Do we
But
want to
evidently
approve
they
this?
don't.
We want to approve this, or just have him come back with a list?
Yeah.
When I say him, I mean the public works officer, excuse me, with a statement of what is involved here.
Yeah.
Or
I
do
would,
we just want to wait?
I used to have a copy of that contract, and it had a number on it, but I thought it was $40-some thousand.
The agreement that I was given, there's no
Yeah.
cost, fees whatsoever in this agreement.
Well, maybe, Bob, you have a good idea. We just put that off till we find out.
Yeah.
What is the administrator's thought on that?
I don't think it would hurt anything to delay it a week or two while we find the information,
Okay.
get the answers for you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, I didn't want to delay it and cause us not to get to, because I know it's a help for the Public Works, and I don't want to delay it, but at the same time, I don't want, oh, we're going to pay the guard $100 an hour, and we're going to pay each inmate $25.
Typically, it's just for the guard. You just
Yeah.
pay his salary and then they provide a crew.
Okay.
But we'll get that information to you.
Is that all right there?
Yep. We'll get back with you.
Okay,
All right,
thank
that's all I
you.
have right now. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
David.
Okay. Now, the next thing is consider a motion to adopt a resolution appointing Roger Mars for tax sale services. Any questions?
No.
I do.
Okay, because
You do too?
yes, I do.
Okay. You want to go first? Okay. What I'd like to know is what other duties is he going to be undertaking besides the sales tax services? Because that's really, I don't think, a full-time job. Is he still going to be doing,
IT.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, no. Mr. Mars is an employee of the county for IT purposes. This identifies Mr. Mars as having the authority granted to him by the board to proceed to handle county matters related to the tax sale, the collection of delinquent personal property taxes, Board of Tax Appeals matters, and bankruptcy claims that the county receives.
I did see on my email this morning that there is a position opening up as a deputy county counselor.
Yes.
Could he undertake that job as well?
Mr. Mars previously did that work. This does not create him as deputy county counselor. This allows him to do what, basically the identified tax purposes, or tax work for the county.
But I think the question was,
But just the question was, what else is he going to do?
This specifies the interests he would do.
He would just do this?
Yes.
Well, Mr. Mars is also an employee of IT department. He provides his full-time duties as the IT, deputy IT director. But then he also will provide this service to the county for the not sales tax, but
Tax
the tax
He
sale.
he does the IT for the county counselor, or the
No,
county
He does
attorney?
IT for the county in general.
The county
He provides
attorney.
some as the county attorney, some for other departments. He has different projects, whatever the IT director tasks him with.
so this gives him 2 jobs, plus
Well,
others.
2 jobs to bring him up to work of 1 job.
Gentlemen, it's really more for the matter of if an outside agency were to question whether or by what authority Mr. Mars was representing the county on tax matters, this would answer that question.
Everything else?
No.
I'll make a motion, we adopt resolution 2018.
One.
Didn't we do 1?
That was a charter resolution.
Okay, 2018-1, to allow Roger Mars to perform the duties of the tax sale.
Did you want to second that, Bob? I'll
Second for discussion, did
Yeah.
you?
Yes, I had a point. Number 2, now therefore be it resolved, the adequate compensation for such services to the county as provided for herein. What is adequate compensation?
What did we agree with?
In other words, what's his wages?
We agreed with a stipend that is, I think it's $650 a month to provide those services thereabouts. And before he was receiving, I think he was receiving $2,000 a month to provide those services.
So now he'll be getting 26.
It's a reduction in what he was previously being provided.
Oh, the 2,000 was for the tax.
He was doing the tax sales and some other other services for the board.
Oh.
Now it'll be just the tax sales, and it's significantly less than the $2,000.
It's his current salary plus $650.
So I need to check that number, but it's less than what it was being
So-
compensated.
What is his salary as an IT person?
I don't know that off the top of my head, Commissioner.
So you're saying the total package is less than what he was making?
Yes.
Okay.
So we don't know what the total salary is?
No.
I don't know that off the top of my head,
Okay.
not the total.
Clerk probably come running up here because she's listening.
I mean, again, we have 400 employees, and I do not recall specifically the amount each one of them makes, but I could definitely get that information.
I like that. That was good. It is hard to remember. Okay, we had a clerk at TWA. So, do we want to move this forward?
I think you answered the questions. It's a lot less money than it was. So we're saving tax
For
dollars.
that portion. We
That
don't
is
know what it's-
correct.
We don't know, to me, I still.
But he still
not
made that
clear
salary
what-
last year when he
His
was
total
getting.
compensation is less than it was before.
Okay. We're saying that his total compensation is less than what it was.
But is he
Yes.
doing less?
Before, he was providing this board with contractual services that they approved in January of 2017. Those contractual services included other services besides just the property tax sales. Mr. Mars will no longer be providing those services. He will only be providing the property tax sales. Therefore, we agreed to a reduction in what his monthly stipend that he was receiving.
Does anyone object if we set this over here
I don't object.
and we have our executive secretary?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yes, I actually brought this up. Mr. Mars is currently working on a matter that involves the city of Pacer regarding a piece of property that's just involved in litigation. I would like to clarify the fact that Mr. Mars has authority to represent the county in that matter by the adoption of this resolution. If this board wishes to revisit the matter of compensation, we can do that at a later time. And I specifically did not put a figure in the resolution because that could be negotiated between the county administrator and Mr. Mars as needed. But I would like to see some action on this so that it removes any question as to whether or by what authority Mr. Mars is representing Leavenworth County in a current pending litigation.
Well, I think it's going to be taken care of today because we're going to find out what his basic salary is. We're going to add $650 to it. We want to know what he was making last year, and I think we can get that within that amount of time. So,
I have all that information. Again, I don't recall his total compensation. I can get you all that information as soon as this meeting's over.
again, we have it forward through today, so we can vote on this. I want to vote on it today, but I don't think it's that hard to come up with his compensation, because if the treasurer is listening, I hope she's listening, they have that capability, and our secretary can call down and say, what are these 3 figures or 4 figures, and then we can take action on it, okay?
We can, I mean, are you asking that we, as somebody, leave this room and go find that information?
No, we make phone calls, tell the treasurer to bring up all the information on Mars. We want to know his salary. Here, I'll get my cell phone
His
out.
job title.
Yeah. And I'll call down there, and she'll have that information up. Or could we do that, please, so we can resolve this? Thank you. Okay. Next item would be, and we will take care of this today. Do you mind if we set this aside?
No,
Okay.
we just
Thank you
have
very
a
much.
motion in a
You have a
second.
motion and a second, so
No, there's no second.
I will,
there was.
let's remove that.
I didn't make a second.
I
Did you?
Okay, I'll remove my second.
Yes, you did.
I'll remove my motion.
There we go, we'll take care of that.
And we'll
Just a
move
matter of
on.
minutes. Okay? We're going to adjourn from session 1 at this time, if I can have a motion for that.
Motion to adjourn session 1.
Second.
How do you vote?
Aye.
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 There we go. Now, we'll convene as the Leavenworth County Board of Health, session 2. No, I guess that isn't part of the session. We're just going to convene as the Leavenworth County Board of Health.
Board of County Health.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. This is case BIO-12-030, located at 14829 Rolling Hills Road, Baser, Kansas. And the property is currently in violation of Resolution 2009-27. The case, which has been filed with the District Court, is 2017 CR 859. The action that we are requesting today is to declare the property located at that specific address listed above in violation of that resolution 2009-27. The property is located just outside of the city limit of Baser, Kansas, on Rolling Hills Road on the south side. The analysis, there have been over 10 visits to the property since 2012. The staff has sent at least 3 notices to the property owner. I have spoke with both the daughter, so 2 family members of this individual also, which they are wanting this to be taken care of also, because they do not think that it's a healthy situation for him either. The matter has been rapidly getting worse since January of 2017, and the staff has spoken with the owner on multiple occasions explaining the necessity of cleaning up the property. The staff viewed several enormous piles of junk, trash sitting around on the property. I do have some pictures that have been taken that I can actually get to you all.
I'm going to ask a question. Are any
Sure.
of the members of the family here?
No.
Then that's hearsay. Appreciate that, though. That the members of the family are saying they would like, you know, somebody wants us to be the hitman, they ought to be coming and saying,
I've seen
we,
enough.
we agree. That,
Actually, the
There is
family
a-
member was one of the complainants, so,
oh, okay, that helps.
yeah.
Well, there's a nice path down there, too. Yeah, that's good.
So the recommendation of the staff would be to declare this a nuisance for the above listed property, and the property owner shall bring the property into compliance with Resolution 2009-27 prior to January 23rd, 2018. On the 24th is when we have our court date in district court with this individual.
Have you seen this, sir?
No, sir.
Is the person
Yeah,
that
you
we're,
have this one.
is the person we're
a
taking
lot of
action
nice
on?
stuff.
Is he here?
No, he is not here.
He is not here. Now, while he's looking at the picture, I did have a thought process here. Outside the city limits of Baker, how far outside?
It's within the 3 mile.
Within the 3
It's just
miles.
south of Miles Construction.
Yeah. Okay. We just did one for Leavenworth, didn't we? Don't they want to have some kind of involvement here? Why don't the cities get involved? Why is it the county has to be the different?
Well, it's within the county, it's under the jurisdiction of the county, so that's why we have to take action on it. The cities, they don't have any jurisdiction whatsoever. They cannot do anything. They usually complain to the county to take care of it, but that's pretty much it. Their hands are tied.
David?
Cities have the ability to control some of your planning and zoning conditions for subdivisions outside of their corporate boundaries. This is completely different. As Mr. Joseph correctly stated, the city of Baser would have no jurisdiction to issue any municipal violation on this property. It's the county's responsibility.
What do we have to do to get them to have further You know, they want to have inputs today, but not tomorrow. They want to have inputs tomorrow, but not today. Why don't we see if there's some kind of action that can be taken so they can be involved 24/7 for anything that's within 3 miles? Does that create a problem for us on other areas? Doesn't me.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think that would be possible short of a formal annexation of that area by the city.
They could do that, couldn't they?
Yes.
But they don't want to do that, as far as I know.
To my knowledge, it has not been annexed into the corporate boundaries of the city of Basehor. Therefore,
Right.
the city does have, the county has jurisdiction to seek the enforcement of your resolution.
Well, I know we do.
Mr. Chairman, I had a few questions, if you don't
Yes,
mind.
go ahead.
Is it possible that we could get a letter of support from the city? Would that help on something that's within their 3 mile?
Mr. Chairman, as Melissa Johnson stated to you, this matter is currently set to be brought before the district court on January 24th as to whether or not the property, the owner of the property is in violation of your resolution. I don't believe a letter of support would be necessary.
Okay. And then when this goes to court and it's ordered to be cleaned up, who cleans it up? The county?
Commissioner
I hope
Smith,
not.
The effect of a codes court hearing would be whether or not there's a violation of the resolution. If a violation of the resolution is found to exist, the court will impose a fine to the property owner. If the property owner fails to pay that fine, the court could find them in contempt and possibly order incarceration for a period of time. The finding of the Board of Health would allow a separate action to be brought to enjoin the continuing condition of that property as a health nuisance.
Okay. So is KDHE involved with this?
KDHE would not be involved at this time because I don't believe we have automobiles.
We do have automobiles.
I saw automobiles.
I don't believe it would meet the definition of the state to get involved as an automobile junkyard, but we can certainly involve KDHE if necessary.
Okay. But what if it's ordered to be cleaned up and it doesn't get done? Who cleans it up?
Commissioner, in the past, the county did actually send work crews in to clean up properties. However,
I know we did. It took crews away from jobs that needed to get done to
However-
clean up somebody's trash, and then it took money out of the public works budget, and we never recouped it.
and in the intervening time, there is a court decision that basically says the county does not have the authority to go in and do that type of work. Cities do, but we don't. So we would be limited to obtaining injunctions, requesting injunctive relief.
See, the 3 mile limit, cities, they got a right to do it, but we don't have the right. Isn't that funny? Now, can we go out for bids for a private contractor to go in and move it?
You first of all have authority to do, you need to have authority to do that, and I don't believe you would.
No, I'm not talking about he. He is, God bless his heart, he's not important at this moment. We're trying to decide who's going to clean it up. We don't want to do it. I guess we can charge. Can we charge for doing it?
Actually,
I think what Mr. Van Paris stated was, we cannot go in and clean it up. We don't have the authority as a county
Right.
to go in and clean it up.
That's understandable.
The property owner is responsible for cleaning it up. If he does not clean it up, then there is a daily fine that will be assessed against him. And then eventually the court could hold him in contempt and put him and incarcerate him. But the county does not have the authority to go in.
So in other words, we can't go clean it up and then put it on his tax table.
no.
We've done that in the past and
Right.
never got anything, so.
Yeah, I
So
thought
they
it
didn't
was-
pay their taxes.
I looked at the pictures, I thought somebody had taken pictures of Washington DC. So, it's amazing. What's the difference, you talk about. So, I'll entertain a motion here.
Let's see, I'll make a motion that Board of Health go case number V10-12-030, declaration for violation of trash, junk, and automobile graveyard per resolution 2009-27.
I'll second it.
Okay, any more discussion?
I just want to make sure the county does not get involved with cleaning this up.
How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Now we've got to come out
now,
of,
the board will adjourn as the Leavenworth County Board of Health. Now the board will reconvene as the Leavenworth County Commission.
Mhm. I
And on
believe
there it says access management.
that's a work session.
If we could go back to the resolution authorizing
2018-1.
to
Yes.
do the,
Fine.
with the stipend and the total compensation be approximately $79,000.
And this time, okay.
79,000 for, again,
For IT
What's
services.
his job?
His job title, which it has been for the last 15 months, I believe, is Deputy Director of Computer Services. So that's his primary job.
so that's his primary job, and he's going to do the tax sale for $650 per year,
Per month.
per month.
You ready for a motion, Chairman?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that Board adopt Resolution 2018-1 for Roger Marsh to provide services for the tax sale.
You want to second that? I'll second. Any discussion? How do you vote?
Nay.
Aye.
We need a little more clarity. You know, we're going to have different questions. And,
Well,
you're doing a good job, Mark.
would be happy to provide any additional information that is required. If you'd like copies of the job descriptions or anything like that,
Yeah.
happy to do that for you.
That way we can't ask the question because it's down in writing. We read that. Okay. Now, sign something. That was dash one, wasn't it?
Correct.
I think this is the one we needed to sign, really.
Yeah, I know. He wanted to originate one, so
Oh.
if that's the same, you know.
Just trying to get her done.
So,
We're sorry we didn't use your,
No, it's,
we're sorry we didn't use your copy.
I usually mark mine all up before, so.
I know it's all right.
That's what I want,
here's your copy. I'll sign it.
Okay, so access management policy. Where do we want to go from here?
Well, I'd like to see us adjourn out of the meeting and go to a work
Oh,
session.
you want to adjourn, okay?
I'll make a motion to adjourn out of session 2.
Second.
We're going to adjourn out of session 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it says here that the work session access management is under 2, doesn't it?
But a work session to me should be outside of a meeting. I
Well,
mean,
it depends on if you're
It's
going to
still, a
allow.
work session is still considered a meeting. That's
Yeah.
why we didn't have the adjournment before. A work session is still considered a meeting. Anytime you three or two of you or more are in a meeting, in a room, it's considered a meeting. So even though you adjourn from the regular session and go into a work session, it's still considered a meeting. It's just, usually the rules of procedure under a work session are a little different. It's a little more open and free-flowing.
And that's kind of what I was hoping the
So-
work session would be.
Yes, that's the main difference, and we can handle it either way.
You want to adjourn out of?
No. No, let's-
Your thought. You brought it up.
I would rather adjourn out of it and have a work session. To me, a work session's a work session.
Okay, we could have it under this.
Yeah, we could have it as a private work
I'll
session,
move
not
that
a
we,
private, but
go out
as a
of the,
work session.
Session 2 and go into a work session, which will be session 3, I guess.
Just a work session.
Work session.
Well, but we
Work
can
session.
take action in a work session. See,
Well, I didn't really plan on taking action today. I thought we would gather information
Yeah,
and
that's
come
what a
back
work
with some
session,
ideas.
gather information, and you mull it over.
Right.
Somebody make a choice. I don't care. I'll second what you're gonna make.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn out of session 2 and go into work session to discuss access management policy.
Second.
Okay, you got 2 seconds. That's good. Now, see, you're up to 2 seconds.
All right.
How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.